This hangout on air is live. Oh my God, I'm late. I'm so sorry I'm late. I got a little carried away preparing for this. I got stuff all around me, because today we are going to talk about our favorite things in 2018. And I had to have some props for this one. And I got a little excited gathering them all up and dragging them in here. Having said that, have yourself a very witchy Vlogmas. Day 18. Day 18. We are almost all the way through Vlogmas, and things are looking good. Things are looking good for my plan to have the Planner Nerd vlog for you tomorrow. So that will be awesome. There will be no gardeners interrupting us, and I'll be able to get some closure on this vlog. And then the last day, the 20th, going into the winter solstice, we will talk about having dominion over your own life, which I think is an awesome thing to talk about when, chopping off the top of my head, when you're talking about going into the new year, right? Like having dominion over your life going into the new year. And that will be the final love stream for 2018 Vlogmas. So who is here? That blazer, oh my God, it's really cute inside too. It's lined with black silk fabric with white polka dots. It's so cute inside. Good morning, Sierra, Janine, Anita, Alicia, Phoebe, Amber, Molly. Hi, happy Saturnalia. Yes, happy Saturnalia, everybody. So before I ramble on about all my favorite things that I drug in here, I wanted to talk about, please God say I have my list so I don't forget anything. On the back of a bill. I want to know, what was your absolute favorite moment or experience or accomplishment in 2018? I want to thank Danny Robinson, too, for really showing up in the Psycho-Spiritual Wheel of the Year group, because I used to do something there every Friday called the Big Brag. And it was a chance for people to brag about themselves every week. And that is what we're going to do here today. We're going to brag about ourselves this year. Do it right now in the comments. I want to know, like, brag about your life. What was the most amazing thing that happened to you, or did you happen to life this year? Before we get started, like Oprah's favorite things style portion of this video. But I want to thank Danny, because I haven't been keeping up with the Big Brag, and he actually wrote to me and was like, hey, I would like to take that over and get that going again because I miss it. And so he's been doing that, and I love it. I love it, because that's one of the most powerful things that we can do to support each other, is really hear and listen to each other when we're sharing our accomplishments. Not just what's wrong with our life, not bitching and complaining all the time about all the things that aren't working, but actually hearing each other celebrate the things that are working, and then also being able to genuinely feel excited for somebody. I think that's a really important thing. Alina, going on a solo trip to Costa Rica. Wow. I've never gone on a solo trip, although it feels, when I travel with my son, I feel a lot of responsibility for myself and my kid, but I've never gone all by myself. Hi, William. William, what was the best thing that you created, did, or experienced in 2018? We want to know. We want to know. I'm waiting for you all. I'm going to ramble here. Let's see, maybe I can dip into my list while I wait for some to pop up. Sierra, I've had some really moving conversations with my dad this year. We've had a tough couple of years. I want to make sure he's loved and valued. That's awesome. That's so you, too. You're such a lover and a giver. Aw, Janine, adopting my 3 kittens, Riley, Bailey, and Belle. Molly Roberts of Tiger Night. Do you know the band Tiger Night? Because Molly Roberts is the front woman for the band Tiger Night, and she says her highlight of 2018 was releasing a full-length record. and it was awesome. I actually got to debut a single from that record on the Hippie Witch podcast. I'm very proud to say that was a highlight. And since Molly's here, I should just say a major, major turning point in my life happened in 2018, and it's definitely a highlight of 2018. And it was me having a revelation about Patreon and seeing that Patreon can actually set me free, that I can continue to show up for people. I want to be a person that supports you all in creating the kick-ass life of your dreams. But in the meantime, I've gotten so busy in my business that my dreams started to kind of fall by the wayside. And I finally got hip. I had been on Patreon for a while, but I didn't really understand the purpose of it exactly, or how I could serve from that place, or how it could serve my life. And this summer, I just did a major turnaround with Patreon, and I realized if I can build Patreon up to the point where I can pay my rent and my bills, that will free up enough space for me to finally get this novel series out that I've been working on, and to go back to making things, to making records, to recording songs, to making things like this, which I'm going to give away today. So I have to thank my patrons, and I have to thank the amazing, inspiring Jesse Huntenberg and Molly Roberts for being friends with me in that mission and inspiring me on that mission, and being very supportive of that part of my journey this year. So Patreon, going to PatreCon, which was the first Vlogmas I did here, like that was definitely a highlight for me. Freedom. Yes, that's what Patreon is. Patreon is freedom for creative people. It's freedom for artists. So I'm really excited about that. So let me scroll up because I want to make sure I see. Anita, I finally set up my witchy page on Etsy and Facebook, and I'm preparing the same for Instagram. Link it here in the comments so people can find you, Anita. Phoebe, had the guts to go on my first motorcycle ride with my hubster. I did not know that. I missed that detail. That is so cool. That is so fun. Speaking of freedom, Sierra says Molly Roberts' record is absolutely amazing. Yay, Tiger Night. And William wrote a few songs. That's badass. That's awesome. Feel free to link, please, to your music if you want people to hear it. I would love that. Yeah, Sierra's on that already. She's a love bug. She's the bringer of the love. She's the most supportive person. So Sierra, I will say you are a highlight of 2018 for me. Finishing my dissertation. Well, look at you, Rachel Lopez. That is badass. Nice. Okay, so I don't think I've missed anybody. Oh, it's still going. Okay, so maybe we'll check back in with that. I have a feeling once we get rolling and talking about our favorite things, I'm going to miss a lot. But I promise you, one of my favorite things to do after Vlogmas is to sit down and read the comments that were scrolling while I was talking and I missed, because it's just fun. I like it. And I would definitely count Vlogmas as a highlight of my year. So before I show you my stuff, let me read my list and make sure I hit the high points. A huge tax bill. I paid a huge tax bill this year that I was not expecting. So that was a major financial stretch for me. And I had money left over to contribute to our birthday trip after I paid that tax bill. And so Nashville, you probably already know, was a huge, 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 huge highlight. Major. And I won't go on about that because I did a special vlog all about Nashville. Greece. I got to go. What anniversary was it? I can't even remember what the anniversary. I think maybe it was the 40th anniversary of Grease. You know, the movie with John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John. My son, myself, my mom, and my Aunt Bonnie, they keep coming up lately, but my mom and Aunt Bonnie are very, very fun, especially when it comes to musicals. And so we took a bus over to the Hollywood Bowl, which is outside. It's beautiful. It was a perfect, perfect day, perfect weather. And then they played Grease on the big screen, but then there was a band there too playing live music, and they gave us a little bag of props. We all had like a little pom-pom, and we had a little greaser comb and all these little props from the movie that we would like shake and yell out when that part of the movie would come up. And Frenchie from the movie actually hosted the event, and Sha-Na-Na played, and it was epic. I loved seeing my kid. He was so into it. And then, of course, my mom, my Aunt Bonnie, and myself, we knew all the songs. And one of the most moving things to me is when a group of people all sing together. Try it when thousands and thousands of people are all singing together. It's epic. That was a hugely epic night. And then kind of keeping in line with that is when I went to Arroyo Seco, the Arroyo Seco Music Festival with my friend Amber, who is here right now. And we got to see my rock god, Jack White. I never miss him. If he's touring, I think I've seen everything he's done. I saw the White Stripes 3 times. Very glad, because the White Stripes are no more. But I think every time he's toured with one of his bands or solo albums, I have seen him, and he never disappoints, ever. There are not enough words for what Jack White means to me. And I don't mean that as like a giddy fan or like I have a crush on him. I mean it as he's a role model for me, and this icon of possibility. And the way that it's the way he runs his business. I've already talked about that, but it's also what he does on stage is he like gives. He gives. You can tell he's just so in love with the moment, and he gives so much to his fans. And I just feel incredibly inspired by that as a fan, but also as like, I want to give like that. I want to give from that place. I want to live my life to inspire other people and to delight them. So that was awesome, standing there in the big ass crowd of people with my friend Amber. And then also we got to see Shaky Graves perform, and he's incredible. Okay, so let me stop talking about myself for a second, because there's a lot I want to say about this year and check back in with you guys. Oh, Sierra, you're so sweet. Yeah, you're an amazing person, Sierra, Gothic Batgirl. Rachel says, Joe, you seem to be really good with money and budgeting. What is your secret? I impulse spend like crazy. I think that is an amazing compliment. I actually never imagined anybody would compliment me on that before, because I was terrible with money for so long. Coming into being like the queen of my own life was really important, an important piece of that. But also a couple of things that have been really helpful. Well, one major thing, I'll just say one major thing, is valuing experiences over things. So I like to save up for that big tax bill. It's an experience to be able to go into I can't even think of the name of it, H&R Block, and be like, all right, how much do I owe you? And then to be able to pay them in that moment in full and have money left over. It took me, I didn't know how much I was saving for. I knew it was going to be a lot, but I wasn't sure of the number. So I like oversaved and hustled to get there. But the experience that I was going for that was pulling me forward was freedom. I wanted the feeling of freedom of walking out of H&R Block. And I had that feeling. And then also saving for a birthday trip with my son every year. It's an experience. And also because he loves the birthday trips. He's on me. Like, I don't want to let that guy down, right? I would hate to be like, I'm so sorry, we can't go to Nashville this year. I couldn't stand the look on his face. So it's the experiences that pull me forward. So think about like, what would the experience of being able to retire early feel like, or the experience of going on this trip, or the experience of being able to afford the most excellent healthcare, like things like that, I think are really helpful for getting there. 40th anniversary of Grace. Okay, yeah, it was 40. Heather says. Okay. Really? Yes, that was really fun. We walked and we walked and we walked and we got lost in the parking lot and I still loved it. Karen, I went to a retreat in New Mexico. I can't tell if this is, I think I went to a retreat in New Mexico and made a new bestie, my soul twin, a woman who has so many similarities with me. I found so many new friends this year. That is awesome. Karen, I don't know if you heard me give you a shout out on an earlier podcast, but you have been an angel in my life this year. So I thank you for that, Karen. Karen is one of those people that stands on the other side of your upper limit and is like, come on, I know you're better than that. And I just really appreciate that. Alicia, I started an aromatherapy candle making business that I plan to expand in 2019. I got to watch my daughter have so much fun celebrating her first year of life, and I lost 15 pounds on keto. Yay! That is badass. You know, this is your crowd. We are an aromatherapy candle buying crowd. You totally should share a link here. Will it let you share links? Because I haven't seen links popping up. But if that's not possible, if you put them in the comments down below, YouTube will mark them as spam, but I can go in and unmark them as spam. So you may do that if you would like to here. Don't do it on all my videos because I don't really go into my spam folder, but I will do it for this one. At least for a couple days, I'll go in there and check if anybody wants to make this a big brag situation and share a link to their online biz or music or whatever you have going on. Okay, so let's see what else. Oh, biz stuff. I already talked about Patreon, but I released the Shadow Love program at the beginning of the year. That was very inspired. That came through like very, very quickly, and it's to me one of the coolest things I've created, and I've gotten amazing feedback, which is awesome. It feels very good to make something and have the people like the thing you made. So Shadow Love, that audio journey is amazing. I have another one. You can thank my patrons for this if you're not a patron, and thank you to my patrons, is they're giving me more freedom to create. And as they give me more freedom to create, I'll be able to make more things. And there will definitely be another audio journey coming out, hopefully in the beginning of next year, that I am very, very excited about. Okay, is that all my experiences? That's all my experiences. We should totally have a book nerd moment, but I'm going to do a giveaway for those of you who showed up here today. The thing about this is before I get into it, I really, please only, you can win, but I'm only going to deliver this to somebody in the continental US. I'm sorry to say, but shipping is insane. Insane. I mailed a coloring book yesterday with some pencils, some colored pencils, and it was $10. Not that far away. I did not mail it that far away, but when you get into mailing things to Europe, it's so much. It's so much. So I apologize for that in advance. This is the best I can do. If you win it and you want to like PayPal me the shipping cost because you just want this thing that bad, then that's fine. Then I will send it to you as well. So it is this. Will Work for Food, a coloring book for grown-ups. I made this in 2006. I have sold many, 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 many of these. Let me show you. It's very snarky. It has some dark stuff in it. My love of Amanita mushrooms is very ancient and old. It goes back with me a very long time. Let's see, though. You should know this. Before you enter this contest, you should know that, if I can find it. Oh, all right. Flipping through. All right, you should know that there are naked boobies. These are the naked torpedo boobies. There are. It's, I would say it's a feminist book. It definitely has some feminist ideas. Like these are more boobies in here. So I just want you to know about the boobies and the feminist messaging before you decide if you want this coloring book for grown-ups. Whoops. Business cards falling out. This is my old logo for Koshi here. Koshi was my first business. And if you win this, you may pick this tote bag, Too Hip for Thou, or this tote bag. All you need is love, love. Love is all you need. Okay, are you ready? Get your keyboard fingers ready for anybody who wants this. What, who, why, what was the reason that I chose Nashville for the birthday trip this year? Why did I want to go to Nashville for my birthday? What was the reason? I will send this to you if you can tell me. And also, if you win this, if you're just like one of those people that's like, I know the answer, but I already have that, you can gift it to somebody else too. Woohoo! Jack White Studio, Alicia, do you want this? You are the winner. Yes, Jack White Studio, Third Man Records. Yes. So I will send this to you, Alicia, unless you don't want it or you're afraid of the boobies or you already have it. Tell me and I'll pick the number 2 person down the line if you want this. Whoops, it's upside down. But you, my friend, are the winner of your very own Will Work for Food coloring book for grown-ups. Okay. I love boobies. Okay. Yes. Let me show you one of the highlights of my year here. And you gotta be careful with it because if I break it, I will be so sad. Oh, yeah. This is my record player. I just realized I did not get my notes. I'm going to have to open up another browser to tell you the name of my record player here. I will attempt to do it. Hopefully this doesn't make our screen all fuzzy here, and I'll try to talk and search at the same time, which is tricky for me, but we'll see how well I can do. That record player brought so much life to so much joy to my life this year. I can't even tell you. But I actually have a very fancy, expensive turntable, but I lost the speakers. I lost the speakers in the split with my ex, and so I just have the nice fancy turntable. And I always wanted one of those Crosley, those super girly Crosley portable record players. And I went to go read the name. Okay, here's my notes. I went to go read the reviews for the Crosley record players, and they were terrible. People kept saying they were breaking, so I ended up getting this one. It is One Bion. I don't know what that brand is, but I like it. It has like this old retro feel, and that's what listening to records is about for me anyways. It's about tapping into that old retro feel that I love so much. So sorry guys, I'm cutting and pasting notes so I don't have too many browsers open here. So let me show you the fun of this is I've been able to go through my old records. My dad gave me a giant, my dad goes to these auctions where they open up people's storage units and auction things off inside. And from a couple different auctions, he got me this giant tub of records. And there are some funny ones in there. There are records from my childhood, like Saturday Night Fever, the song Staying Alive. It was awesome. And Olivia Newton-John, like some really cheesy stuff that I actually loved and had a blast. And then I have to show you these because these are so funny. These are the Christian records of my childhood, but this is Tammy Faye Baker. I listened to this. I used to have a Fisher-Price record player when I was a kid. And then of course my parents had a big ass record player situation too, but I used to like to lock myself away in the room and listen to records. And so this is Tammy Faye, clap your hands. And I loved it. How do you spell relief? J-E-S-U-S. Yes. Oh, I loved this. Keith Green, you won't care probably if you don't know who Keith Green is, but this, I've told this story on my podcast before. when I was like in 3rd and 4th grade, it was really cool to write the name of bands on your peachy folders. And I was sitting next to the most popular girl who I experienced as a mean girl. She was very snobby. She didn't bully me or anything, but she intimidated the hell out of me. And so I wrote Sweet Comfort on my peachy folder, trying to impress her, because at the time in 3rd grade or whatever grade I was in, the song Breaking the Ice was the most like rock and roll Jesus song I could think of. And she looked over at my peachy and she was like, Sweat Comfort. And I had misspelled the word sweet. I wrote sweat. And then I totally tried to play it off. I was like, yeah, you don't know Sweat Comfort. It's totally a thing. Yeah. So, and then something I bought myself this year to go with my record player goes back to the playroom. We had 2 bedrooms as kids growing up. And sometimes my sister and I would want our own rooms. And then sometimes we would want a playroom. And so we would move into one of the rooms together so we could have a playroom until we started fighting. And then we went back and forth with having 2 bedrooms and a playroom and 2 bedrooms and a playroom, depending on how we were getting along. But when we had a playroom, I would sit in there with the record player, and I re-bought these for myself this year. The Best of Disney Volume 1 and the Best of Disney Volume 2. And what I would do listening to these when I first got them, I haven't listened to them in a month or 2, but when I first got them and they came in the mail, I think this is a signature Joanna feeling. Do you know this feeling? Do you know the laugh cry where you're like, oh, you're like laughing and crying at the same time? It touched such a nerve. This is definitely one of my favorite things from 2018 is re-buying myself these records from when I was a kid. Do you know the song Lavender Blue? Lavender blue, dilly dilly, lavender green. We used to always listen to Annie Herring's Kids of the Kingdom. Spoiled Fisher Price. Okay, so I'm going to I do the laugh cry too often. The laugh cry, right? I feel like that is who I am. I am the laugh cry. It's just like all the feelings hitting you at one time. Let me show you something witchy, because this is not a very witchy favorite things. And this is actually not super witchy either. But this year, I decided to move away from tarot cards this year and work with oracle cards. And I worked with Tosha Silver's Change Me Prayers deck, which is really powerful and really beautiful. I played around with Gabby Bernstein's The Universe Has Your Back deck, which is also very beautiful. But this is the one that super duper resonated with me, surprisingly. Because up until this year, I was not an oracle deck kind of person, but now I'm loving this Wisdom of the Oracle by Colette Baron Reed. So I guess I will ask you all, what was your favorite deck that you worked with this year? Because I know so many of you are deck collectors. Do you have a favorite deck from this year? I will show you. Here are the backs of them. They're very brightly colored. And let's see if I can find some favorite card. Ooh, I don't work with reversals. I don't appreciate reversals. I don't like when a card gets upside down in my deck. Well, this is a favorite, but it might be too detailed for the camera to pick up on, but I will try. Fork in the Road. It's really whimsical, beautiful pictures. Some of them are not my favorites because this isn't actually my style of artwork. This one's really pretty. I love, truth be told. But the messages are awesome. I really love the little book that comes with it, and I've gotten so much out of it. I have found this to be a really supportive deck this year. So I'm a fan. I'm a very big fan. Hard to pick one. Colette's decks have been amazing. Have amazing illustrations. Yay. Rafi and the Disney. Yeah. It's so fun to revisit that old childhood music. I've used many My mini pagan cats deck. The pagan cats. I love that, Lori. Ryder Wade Smith. That's awesome. It's just so gorgeous and nothing seems to bear it for me. It's always so spot on. Karen says, I do my shadow work with beautiful creatures. Once I touched it, I had to own it. Purple foil edges. Yes, that's Strangeling. Jasmine Beckett, something or other. Oh, cool. I love that, Amber. I've fallen in love with the super 70s Morgan Greer. Yes, that deck. I love the 70s vibe of that deck for sure. Alicia says the Halloween tarot was fun to use for the month of October as well. Yes, I feel like my friend Marla bought that for herself this year. Okay, so I'll just quickly, what was your favorite song of the year? I have a favorite song and a favorite band. My favorite song was Childish Gambino's song, This Is America, but really it was the video that I loved. I love the song, but I love the video, and I must have watched the video 10 million times. It was very triggering for a lot of people. People found it upsetting, and then there were those of us in the camp who absolutely loved it. I thought it was a beautiful, gorgeous, perfect work of art. I like my rock and roll to be like that. I like my art to be like that, which is why I'm excited to grow Patreon so I can make more things to offend you all. I like to offend through art. I like to say all of the things that I don't typically say through art. I like to express like my feelings about what's going on in the world and all of that through art. And that's what that'll always get like a rise out of me. So Childish Gambino, This Is America for sure stands out in my head. And then there is a band that I don't know that any of you will like. They're called Fontaines DC. It's a punk band out of Dublin. Fontaines, and it's an ES, Fontaines DC. And they have a record and a song called Too Real. Is it too real for ya? Is it too real for ya? If you decide to look that up, I will tell you, hang with it, because you're going through this kind of like punk thing for a minute, but then the musicianship kicks in and like they have a really groovy style. I like musical punk bands. I totally, because I was in a punk band, like I appreciate the screaming and yelling, but I like it when there's like a high level of musicianship in the band and the style, and they have it. They have it. So I'm into it. Gambino is so talented. Yes, that video was amazing. Yay. I love UK punk, says Anita. Nice. Well, these guys are from Dublin and they are dope. I love them. I've listened to lots and lots and lots of Fontaines DC. The starting in the fall. I think I found them this fall and I just love them. Let's do books. Let's do books. Shall we? My favorite book of the year is extremely magical, but I want to mention this book because I think this is an important book. I will remember 2018 as the year The Children of Blood and Bone came out. I saw literary Twitter blowing up about this, like building up to it. And so I was at Barnes & Noble the day it came out to get the hardcover. Look how pretty it is inside. It's like this map inside. What I love about this is for similar reasons to why I loved Black Panther. Black Panther is like, we finally got to see a movie like with wall-to-wall Black superheroes, and it just really like kicked the dust off the movie industry and expanded our reality and created this more inclusive movie-going experience for us all, but hello, for African Americans, for people with brown skin. And Tomi Adeyemi does that with this book. It is a magical book as well. It's about magic, and she's a very young Black woman who created this book that the publishing industry just went nuts for, and then the fans went nuts for. There's going to be a series, there's going to be a movie, the whole thing. It's actually not my style because it's super action packed. I would call it an action adventure. It like hits the ground running with the fighting and the action. And that is not my thing, but I really, really appreciated it. And also there's a lot of magic involved. It's about these people these teenagers fighting to bring the magic back to their people. So I have to give a shout out to this book. And then I will also remember 2018 as the year I discovered this little unknown author you may have heard of, Stephen King. I finally read Stephen King. I read 3 Stephen King books. The last one really kicked my ass, Needful Things. It was very heavy. I read Salem's Lot, which I really enjoyed, but I loved The Shining. The Shining is my favorite scary movie of all time. It's terrifying. It's hard to explain why that would be something I enjoy, being terrified, but it's a perfect movie. And the book, The Shining, I absolutely loved, and it's different. It's quite different than the movie. So you can read this on its own, even if you've seen the movie, and have a completely different journey. It ends in a different way, and it really gets you in the head of the characters. And this is one of those books that I could not put down. I kept, you negotiate with yourself, like one more chapter. Okay, one more chapter. If I get this much more work, I'll give myself 30 minutes to lay here and read. I remember laying in my chair in the sun, like just loving it and hoping that Tanner was running late that day so he wouldn't walk in on me and I could keep reading. I loved reading The Shining. And then my favorite book was a birthday present in 2017 that my friend Marla gave me that I ended up finally reading this year. And it was Into the Magic Shop by James R. Doty, M.D. I really want to have this guy in the podcast. I haven't asked him yet, but I hope to do that in 2019. He's a brain surgeon. But this book, it's a memoir of how when he was a little kid, he liked magic, like magic, not with a K, like stage magician, illusion magic. He liked magic tricks. And there was a magic shop in his little tiny hometown. And the woman that owned this shop taught him real magic, the kind of magic that we're always talking about. And it talks about the whole process of learning magic. It's instructional, like at the end of every chapter, it gives you a lesson, basically. Like it gives you tips, like things that you can do on your own to learn this brand of magic. But it's also a memoir taking you from when he was a little kid, an impoverished little kid, not living the best life, to discovering this magic shop, learning real magic in this magic shop, and then going all the way on to kind of losing himself and becoming wealthy and then becoming a brain surgeon and then finding his way back to this real magic. And I think I loved it. I 100% loved it. A++++. Into the Magic Shop. I highly recommend this book. And if all goes well, I will have this guy on my show. So this won't be the last time I'm pushing that book on you. Karen, yay! I hope Jennifer sees this. Jennifer David Hesse, who is a patron of mine, which is a huge honor because she is a published author of the Wiccan Wheel Mysteries. You might have heard me talk about that. But I started a new podcast on Patreon this year called The Witchy Writer's Journey. And I was very excited when Jennifer signed up for that. And I got to interview her. I just shared a little podcast, a clip on the public podcast of that interview, but the bulk of the interview is this weekend's podcast on Patreon. And so I was really happy that she did that for us. But Karen is saying she's loving that series. It is a cozy mystery series, in case you missed the memo, based on the Wiccan Wheel of the Year. So I think that is awesome. Oh my gosh. I'm going to have to read a lot of this later. Let's see. The Year of Black Panther. I loved seeing my hometown in film for a positive thing. That's awesome. Okay, there's a lot. Dodging Energy Vampires. Get Rich, Lucky Bitch. The Four Agreements. How to Be Your Own Genie, some of my favorite books this year. Yeah, I know a lot of people really loved You Are a Badass at Making Money too, and that's another really good one. Just in the books that you listed, I have a feeling you would like that. Useless Magic from Florence Welch. I have a copy of The Shining I got somewhere this year. Magical Power for Beginners. How to Raise and Send Energy for Spells That Work by Deborah Lipp. That's cool. That sounds like a good recommendation here. Alina, I ordered Yuletide Homicide. Yeah, so that's one of Jennifer David Hesse's books. So yay for that. We have to talk about movies too, but before we do, you might know that I'm a magazine nut. I'm a book nerd. I love music. I love rock and roll. I like all the artsy things, but magazines too. I'm ridiculous with the magazines. I couldn't sit here and show you my favorite magazines of the year. I will show you this one that I already talked about on the podcast. I wish you could smell it, but this is Good Company. And I found this to be incredibly inspiring. And it's just, I wanted to show it to you because this is the back cover. I have learned to accept and even embrace fear as a sign that I am being faced with an opportunity to grow and become a better person. This is a gorgeous magazine. Look at this. Talk about inclusive. Very, very inclusive. Very, very inspiring. Biz Magazine. This is the Fear Less issue, which is crazy because, hello, another one of my favorite things is my Fear Less woman necklace, and being fearless has been such a theme for me. So I have to mention that, and I just dropped this. This is my newest magazine that I just got, so it's kind of silly to include it here, but I already love it. Look at Taraji on the cover of In Style. Start 2019 like a boss. I'm a sucker for magazines in general, but anything about like having the best year of your life, like going into the new year, I'm a sucker for that. And then I wanted to show you the back of this because I just love this. Why I Love Dora, my 1955 Dodge Royal Lancer. That is Lily Tomlin right there in her old car. I love old cars, and so this is awesome. I highly recommend picking this up if you want to start 2019 like a boss. And if you love magazines, there's a lot of good collage. If you're into doing the vision boards for New Year's, there's a lot of good collage stuff in here. So that is that. When are we getting a magazine show? I said I was going to do a magazine show on Patreon, and I didn't. You know what it was? I was really fired up. This is interesting. I'll mention this. People are upset about what's gone on politically. We've seen a lot of racism that I didn't even realize as a white woman was so deeply, deeply embedded in our country here in the United States. I did not understand how deep it was until Twitter came along and started showing me like all these videos that people are shooting of shootings, and just seeing people say some really weird racist things. The last couple of years have been really enlightening that way. But I have to say, art is for the people. And art sets the tone for where we're headed in the future. And because we got Black Panther this year, because we got Crazy Rich Asians this year, because we got Tomi Adeyemi's Children of Blood and Bone this year, and because of the way magazines have changed this year, there's a couple of other movies I should mention too. Ocean's 11 was like a group of women being badass women in a way we only usually get to see men being, or the movie Book Club, which is super cheesy, but I loved it. It's a romantic comedy starring older women, Diane Keaton, Mary Steenburgen, like these super badass oh gosh, I'm going to forget everybody's name in it. I'm not going to sit here and go through their names, but seeing older women having romantic, sexy relationships. They had 50 Shades of Grey was the book that these older women all went through. Jane Fonda, Candace Bergman, they all went through in their book club, and it changed their lives. And this idea of inclusivity now, we're getting to see different body sizes on the cover of magazines and inside magazines, bringing it back to magazines, different color skin. Both of the women on the cover of these magazines have brown skin. One is very artsy and it's filled with women of brown skin, but I'm seeing this in Vogue, Elle, Bazaar, major magazines have understood. People drove this. People drove this on social media, and the magazines and the advertising had to catch up to be like, oh, people think this is beautiful. Oh, people want to see this. Oh, we can make money by showing these faces and these bodies. And I really saw a major shift in the magazine industry. It also got way more artsy this year because they're having to compete with online magazines. A lot of magazines have gone out of business, which I personally don't want to see happen. So a lot of new editors came in, a lot of new fonts and cover designs and layouts came in, new body shapes, new colors of skin. And it was thrilling. Let me show you this. Hold on. Keeping things real with Joe on Patreon. Do you remember that? I just had one of those moments. This was so fun. In Style, they did a layout, a fashion layout with a man that I don't think is that unusual for In Style, but this one I loved because Jazzy Jeff, it's Jeff Goldblum. Here he is in front of an awesome Bukowski mural. But it's just fun to see men embracing their feminine side, their style, their fashion. I'm just enjoying seeing everybody be included in the conversation in new and different ways. I think that that's really amazing. Blind Spotting was an amazing and really iconic film for me. It talks about gentrification, race, and a feel of the urban culture based in Oakland, which made me so happy. Cool. Oh, Karen, speaking of racism, I share your ISIS girl story a lot. Okay, I should tell that because you brought it up. That rocked my world this year. I told this story on my podcast, but I know not all of you listen to the podcast. We're going to go long today. Is that okay? Because there's other things I want to show you still. There's this mom and pop coffee shop here that I like to walk to when the weather is nice. It's called Caffeine, K-A-F-N, and I get something called a Glendale Foggy. It is a very fancy drink and is Earl Grey. I get it with macadamia nut milk, like steamed into a latte, but it's Earl Grey tea with lavender. Lavender, it's so good. I think lavender and vanilla maybe even too. It tastes like Fruit Loops. I love it. It was a beautiful day, but a windy day, and I have a wonky ear hole. I feel like it's facing the wrong direction. So even if there's a little breeze, I get a deep, bad earache. So I have this big scarf that I wrapped around my head that day, and I'm walking down the street, drinking my Glendale Foggy, feeling fine, and I hear these little kids behind me giggling and saying, ISIS girl, ISIS girl, ISIS girl. And it's not really registering to me because I'm in such a good mood. I hear them doing it, but then I notice it's got like a taunting kind of bullying tone to it. And then after a while, I realized they were talking to me. They thought I was Muslim because I was wearing this thing on my head, and they were taunting me and calling me ISIS girl. And it inflamed me. I was instantly pissed. I was so mad. I ripped the scarf off my head very melodramatically and marched across the street because they were directly across the street from me, like staring these little boys down. I think they were like maybe junior high, maybe a little bit younger than junior high age. And their eyes were just like, and I walked behind them like on their heels. They were going as fast as they could go without running. And I just wanted to make them super duper uncomfortable. But again, like with learning about racism and thinking like, how awful that Muslim people have to think about that and deal with that, and that little kids, even from little kids, that they would be so disrespectful to some woman they saw walking down the street. So I have privilege. I'm a white lady with blue eyes and blonde hair. I don't get to see that world very often. Thank you, Black Twitter, for opening my eyes to this and the last couple of years of politics, but also to those little kids for like actually showing me like what it's like to just be having an awesome day and walking down the street. And somebody actually is going to try to make you feel like shit out of the blue. Those little boys got to meet the Queen of Swords. Yes, they do. Alina, I have 2 wonky ear holes. I feel your pain, right? It hurts. It takes a long time to go away too once it starts hurting. So even though it's not my cutest look, I'll walk around with earmuffs on too sometimes. Okay, so movies. Where are movies? We already talked a little bit about some movies, but I have some other favorites I wanted to mention too. I'm super annoyed. I didn't get to see as many movies as I wanted, and I'm very annoyed that I haven't got to see Black Klansman. I really wanted to see that, and I missed it. So that bugs me. And then the ones I'm looking forward to seeing, I probably shouldn't include in my favorite things, but they're my favorite things to look forward to. And I will definitely be watching between Christmas and New Year. I have quite a few days completely to myself that I'm going to stock up on these movies. I'm hoping to get a witchy girl date going to see Suspiria. I definitely want to see The Green Book, although I'm afraid it will make me cry, the ugly cry. I for sure have to see Mary, Queen of Scots. And my mom and my Aunt Bonnie, again, they're making me wait until the 30th to see Mary Poppins Returns. I really wanted to see it on opening day because Mary Poppins is a witch, okay? And Emily Blunt is a badass actress, and I have complete faith in her that she will be able to play Mary Poppins in the most wonderful, magical way. But I have to wait till the 30th to see that. I just saw, for sure, one of my favorite movies of the year was The Favorite. It is so bawdy and nasty in a fun way. You must see The Favorite with Emma Stone and Rachel Weisz. I don't want to get all into it, but it's a movie about power over. I'll say that, but in a really fun way. And it keeps you engaged and you're just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, through the whole thing. I love it. I love when the movie is like a ride like that. So for sure, The Favorite is one of the favorites. I can't say Isle of Dogs like got into my heart at that level and made a huge impact, but I loved seeing Isle of Dogs. It was really innovative and noteworthy. So it definitely came to mind when I was like trying to think of my favorite movies of 2018. I saw Colette. If you're a writer, if you're a woman who is a writer, I highly recommend like checking out your indie theaters in your area to see if you can find Colette, because it's very, very good. And Netflix. Moving on to TV. I am late. I was late to watch Stranger Things and Ozark, but I loved them both. I'm very late to watch Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, but that became my laundry folding jam. Like if I have to fold the laundry on the dining table, I set my laptop up and I put an episode of Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee on Netflix, and I just sit there and giggle along with them. There was this moment in, I think it was Sarah Jessica Parker and Jerry Seinfeld. It's Jerry Seinfeld's show where there are these people that talk about like, oh, there was this, oh, look at that charming little rock in the road. You know what that reminds me of? When I was a child, there was a rock in the road, and they're like these super detailed people that notice every little thing and have a story for every little thing. And I think it was Sarah who said, Sarah Jessica who said, or maybe it was Seinfeld. He was like, you remind me of me. And I can see now why, like, I am so exhausting to some people. And when they said that, I was like, ah! Like I totally saw myself, because I am one of those people who never shuts up. And I notice all the little things. And you know what that reminds me of? And so I think that's why I like that show so much. And then, of course, Netflix gave us The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina this year. And everything was very dark. Ozark, Stranger Things, Sabrina. Another favorite of mine was on TNT, most unexpectedly. It was The Alienist with Luke Evans and Dakota Fanning. Oh, my God. That I had to sneak that because I didn't want Tanner to be anywhere near it. It was very gory and scary. So he'd be like taking a bath and I'd have the volume down and I'd be watching it like, what's going to happen? Why is that fun? Why is suffering fun? It's like reading Stephen King or watching The Alienist. There's like so much suffering involved and you get so emotionally invested. I think it's maybe because you're forgetting yourself. It's a safe way to experience fear. Oh, yes. Okay. Let's see. I know I'm missing all kinds. I'm looking forward to Mary Poppins. Yes, Mary Queen of Scots. I can't wait to see it. The trailer looks so good. I love Saoirse Ronan. Yes. Lori says Isle of Dogs was amazing and beautiful. Riverdale. I haven't watched Riverdale, but Sabrina has me a little bit curious. Yes, Lily Tomlin is a badass. She's very cool. And then podcasts. People always ask me what my favorite podcasts are, and I feel like I disappoint them because my answers aren't very witchy. But this year, if I leave you with nothing else from this episode of Vlogmas, I beseech thee to check out Rachel Maddow's series Bagman. It's a limited podcast, so there's only 7 episodes, I think, 7 or 8 episodes, and it's the story of Spiro Agnew. Do you know who Spiro Agnew is? If you do not know who Spiro Agnew is, you must listen to Bagman. If you do know who Spiro Agnew is, you must listen to Bagman. It's called Bagman. It's Rachel Maddow's podcast. It is done. The production level is done at such a high level. It's extremely entertaining with old interviews and voiceovers and this very groovy 70s music because it largely takes place in 1973, which is the best year ever because that's the year I was born. And holy crap, Spiro Agnew was Richard Nixon's vice president. I did not know that. And alongside, his story got buried because alongside Watergate, this guy was in big fat trouble for being like a blatant criminal. It's an amazing part of American history. I think it will delight you. I'm so sorry if you don't understand that it's about politics and you're like, please, I don't want to listen to politics. Don't let that deter you. It is insanely entertaining. I think it will get a rise out of you in a very good way and that you will enjoy it. And then the other podcast I love is, again, you all can't throw tomatoes at me, so I'll just say it. It's Goop. I love the Goop podcast. I love it. I love Gwyneth Paltrow's interviews on the Goop podcast. And then when Gwyneth isn't hosting, they have the most amazing guests come on. I think you all would like it. Even if you have a thing about hating on Gwyneth Paltrow, try to set that aside and listen to the Goop podcast because it's a really good one. Fat Feminist Witch podcast. Yes. And the Witch Wave, Pam Grossman. But I'm telling you, my favorites are not usually witchy. I listen to the Creative Pen a lot. Joanna Penn's podcast rocks. My favorite is, of course, Zap Night. Lori and Danny Robinson are a power duo, and they have their own podcast called Zap Night, and she's here hanging out with us right now, so you guys should check that out. Yeah, I knew we'd get shout outs for Paige from Fat Feminist Witch and Pam's show, The Witch Wave, for sure. The Goddess Collective with Nixie Marie. Yes, I got to have Nixie Marie on my show this year and go on her show, which was really amazing. My favorite episode of the year, I have to say, the one that just springs to mind of Hippie Witch, my podcast, was the one that I did with my friend Kathy, talking about using magic to create her dream home. I loved it. I love my friend Kathy. It's something that I had been trying to make happen for a while, and I suffered from that episode. You don't know the whole behind the scenes episode behind the episode, but I thought I lost our interview for like 12 hours. I spent suffering trying to figure out how to get the footage back, and I was very excited that I succeeded and that interview actually happened. And then I also really loved getting to interview Lisa Marie Basile. She is the author of Light Magic for Dark Times, but I also just think she's an incredibly inspiring woman. She publishes her own online magazine, Luna, is it Luna, I think, magazine. She's a poet, a really good poet. There's a lot of bad poetry out in the world, but hers is deep, and she's a super witchy woman. So that was pretty awesome. Sierra said there's a podcast called And That's Why We Drink. If you like true crime / paranormal stories, that's hilarious. Karen, I did not want to, but Joanna convinced me to try Goop, and I really like it. Nice. Okay. My favorite murder is there's so many podcasts I can't keep up, and also the production level is so high now because these big corporations are starting to put out their own podcasts, and huge celebrities have their own podcasts. So I have to remember to just like do my thing my way and not let that intimidate me, and keep trucking the hippie witch way and not get intimidated by all the fancy stuff that the other podcasters have now. Okay, so this is the super girly portion of the show. For any men watching, I warn you now, because before I go, I have to show you my super girly favorites. I will show you this. Maybe it's the least girly of the girly things. My mommy got me this in Greece. It is Herb Olive is the name of the company. Olive oil and argan oil lip care. This is what it looks like. I'm obsessed with this stuff. I was super annoyed that she only brought me one because I was like scooping it out of the bottom, and I tried to find it online, and I ended up paying like $7.35, I think, to buy it from the company direct. I tried to find it on eBay. She probably got this for like $1 in Greece, but I was like, I must never be without this again. It is the world's most perfect lip balm. I don't know why. It's just so emollient and perfect. If they'd like me to hire them to be their spokesperson, I would happily do it. Lip balm is for everybody. That's not a girl thing. This might be, though, because it smells like a girl. Nubian Heritage, shea butter, and patchouli and buriti. I have talked about this before. Look at mine. It's so scuzzy because it's almost gone. I've been through a number of these jars. I get this at Sprouts. If you are a person who wore Terry Mugler's Angel perfume back in the day, which is a very, very strong, overwhelming perfume, this smells like that in a very light, not overwhelming way. I showed this to my friend Amber, and I think she went out and bought herself some because it's just like, I love shea butter. Shea butter I can put everywhere without breaking out in acne, so I always have a gigantic tub of shea butter, but this one I keep out in the TV room. And I go into what Angelina Jolie called the lotion coma. I sit there with my shea butter and I do my hands and my feet, and it smells amazing. And then this, I've already been through a couple of these too, brand new in the package. This is Maybelline's, what is it? Age Rewind Concealer. Don't let the weird ass sponge tip fool you. This is something that beauty vloggers talk about all the time. One of my beauty pet peeves is under eye bags. I have succeeded in greatly reducing them in 2 ways. One is I learned to sleep slightly elevated on my back this year, and I don't regret it. It didn't take me long. I thought that would be a really hard thing to do because I always sleep like curled up in fetal position in like a little tiny ball, usually like with my hand over my head. And laying on your back is a completely different experience psychologically. It's changed my dreams completely in a really interesting, weird way. But also, I don't wake up with huge Ernest Borgnine poofy bags under my eyes. And then this shit is the shit. The beauty vloggers of YouTube are correct. This stuff, it stays on all day, which is super rad. It doesn't make you like your mascara smudge, and it covers that shit up. I have to swear talking about this stuff. It's amazing and it's cheap. It's from Maybelline, age rewind. You should get yourself some. It's so badass. I freaking love this stuff. And then this is a really funny one, but it's real. This is not a joke. This is not a joke. 2018 was the year of Crocs. This is my 4th pair of these. I have a lot of back and knee pain. I was in gymnastics for years, competitive gymnastics. I fell on my head and a lot. I got into a car accident in my early 20s and I got whiplash. And then I was in a rock band that a punk rock band that I insisted in performing our live shows in heels that were about this high. They were like these chunky Oxford heels. I had quite a few of them, and I would jump and kick and leap and run all over the stage, being very, very wild in these shoes. And then I would get home and I'd be like, I could like, oh, I would wake up in the morning like the Tin Man. I was so stiff, and now I pay for it. I pay for it. I have a lot of back pain. And shoes have become very problematic for me until I found these. They look like 90s Prada sandals. If you remember 90s Prada sandals, they're not going to look sexy like this, okay? You're going to have to use your imagination. But here they are, brand new out of the box. They're super badass. I can run in these. I can run down the street. I can walk around all day long and all night long at Arroyo Seco. I know because I tried. I can traipse all over Nashville. I know because I tried. I can walk on pavement. I can walk on sidewalk. I can hop up and down. I can do whatever I want in these with zero pain. They are amazing. So this is my backup black pair. I have black ones that I bought first, but right after I bought them, I was like, oh my God, I went on eBay and I bought this really weird pair that are lime green leopard because I need weird shoes. I like being hip and cool is a thing with me. I like to look hip and cool and in style. I did not want to have the nerdy, like grandma feet. I wasn't ready for that, even though I love grandma fabrics, which is a weird dichotomy, I guess. But these look so hip and cool. You paint your toes like funky colors. And then when I found the lime green leopard ones, I was all about it. And then I also have a pair of beige ones. And I'm telling you, I wore the hell out of them. I've also found that swing shoes are very good because they're made for being on your feet and dancing. And they just also happen to suit my personal style. So I love the swing shoes. No, they don't look like Crocs at all, do they? No, they're very cool. And then right after I got these and was all into them, Vogue did a story on Crocs and how Crocs were going to be hip this year. So I was like, dude, I'm so cool. I was into Crocs way before Vogue, okay? Okay. And then I did something kind of morbid and weird when Kate Spade died. I bought this. This is a vintage 2008. Oh, shoot. I should remember the name of the bag in case you guys are interested in this. I got this on eBay. I was a little bit bummed because this part was like peeling off, and I tried to use leather glue to salvage it, which did not really work. And I ended up just peeling it off and cutting it off and being done with it. And it's totally fine now. But this bag gets me so many compliments. I got to get back so you can see it. Look at, it's really different, right? For Kate Spade, but it has that original Kate Spade signature fabric inside. And speaking of grandma stuff, I'm a granny. What is up with me and granny things? I love it's got the little metal feet. It just makes me feel so fancy and cool, and people compliment me on it all the time. All the time. So I love it. So I had to end with this because is it just amazing how like something like this can make you so happy? But I've always loved the Kate Spade experience, the brand she created. And I wanted to honor that. I wanted to honor the joy of that brand, how whimsical it is, how much joy it brings women when they go in the store or you own something Kate Spade. For a lot of women, a Kate Spade bag was their first like designer bag that they get like right out of college or on their first job. And I thought, you know, it's really sad when we lose somebody like Anthony Bourdain or Kate Spade. We lost them this year because there are people that bring so much joy to the world, right? And they make you feel so great about your life that it's very challenging and tragic to kind of imagine that they don't feel that themselves and that they would end up taking their lives. So I wanted to like carry the joy forward and honor her for the joy that she brings to so many different people's lives. And when she designed this bag. It's before her company was sold and other people started designing. So I wanted to carry that bag around in honor of that. And that's exactly what it's done. Like women love this bag. They compliment me on it all the time and it makes them happy. And it makes me happy that it makes them happy. So I love that. Yes. And it's very witchy, I think. Karen says, Samantha Stevens used to carry that type of bag. The current ones aren't the same as the vintage ones. No. Yeah, I wanted one that she designed. Take care, guys. William is out. We're talking about girly stuff. Yeah, I am done. We've gone very long today. I hope you guys enjoyed this. And again, if all goes well, there will be a Planner Nerd video tomorrow. I keep forgetting to tell you about the special, this week's Vlogmas special. Let me make sure I read it correctly because it's down in the show notes below. Get 50% off the winter solstice module when you enter this code at checkout. Yule is cool. If you want to get the winter solstice module for 50% off, go down in the show notes and click on the link and put in Yule is cool at checkout. And then please meet me here on the 20th at 8:30 a.m. for our very last love stream. Thank you so much for making Vlogmas the super duper fun highlight of 2018 that it turned out to be. I've had a blast hanging out with you all here. And until we meet again, much love to you. Peace.